The city was full of noise, lights, and rushing people. Yet in the corner of the market square stood someone no one wanted to see. She was an alien woman, tall but thin, her clothes torn, her eyes tired. Her body looked weak, like she had not eaten for days. People walked past her. Some whispered insults. Others looked away as if she did not exist. But the human boy stopped. His name was Daniel, just 19. He worked small jobs at the docks and sometimes cleaned stalls to earn coins. He was not rich, he was not strong, but he had a heart that could not ignore suffering. That day, while others walked past, he saw her and slowed his steps. She noticed him and at once stepped back. Her face turned pale, her hands shook, and she whispered words that carried both fear and pain. "Stay away, human, I am not worth your purity." Daniel froze. He did not expect those words, purity, worth. He looked at her again. She was covered in dust, her long dark hair tangled, her silver eyes filled with shame. It was not the picture of danger. It was the picture of someone who believed she was broken. He took a careful step forward. "I don't understand. Why would you say that?" Her voice cracked, low and trembling. "Because I know what I am. You should not come close to me." The crowd around them was busy, laughing, bargaining, shouting for goods, yet for Daniel, the world grew silent. Only her words remained, heavy and sharp. She acted as if she carried a sin too big for anyone to forgive. Daniel saw how her arms hugged herself tightly, as if trying to hide scars that no one else could see. He felt a strange pull, not of romance, not of curiosity, but of pure compassion. Something inside him whispered that this moment was important, that he could not walk away like the others. Still, she turned away, trying to hide in the shadows between the stalls, but Daniel followed a few steps. Not close enough to scare her, but enough to show he cared. "My name is Daniel," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." She shook her head. "Names will not change what I am. Go back. You will regret if you stay." Her voice carried such certainty that Daniel almost believed her. It was like she had heard those words many times before, like others had told her she was filth, unworthy, less than nothing. Daniel asked quietly, "What happened to you?" She froze. Her silver eyes glistened, but she refused to answer. Her silence spoke louder than words. At that moment, 3 alien merchants walked by. They saw her and sneered. One of them laughed. "Look at the dirt clinging to our streets, worthless. Not even fit for a slave." The others chuckled cruelly and moved on, but Daniel's hands curled into fists. His heart burned with anger. He wanted to shout, but he knew yelling would not help her. Instead, he looked at her and said, "You are not what they say. I can see it in your eyes." Her lips trembled. "You don't know me, human. If you did, you would walk away too." Daniel did not move. He stood still, calm but steady. "Maybe I don't know you, but I can choose." "I choose not to walk away." The words hung in the air. She did not reply. Instead, tears filled her eyes. She quickly wiped them with her sleeve as if ashamed of crying in front of him. For the first time, someone had not turned away. Someone had not laughed. Someone had not called her worthless. And that frightened her more than hate itself. Daniel felt it. Her fear was not of him, but of hope. It was as if she was afraid to believe that anyone could see her as something more than broken. The night fell over the city. Lanterns lit the square. People went home with full bags, happy voices, and warm meals waiting for them. But Daniel stayed for a while, standing a few steps away, watching her shiver in the cold. She finally whispered, almost too soft to hear, "You will regret this kindness, human. They all do." Daniel answered gently. "Then let me be the first one who doesn't." She looked at him for a long moment, her eyes filled with both fear and longing. Then she turned her back and disappeared into the dark alley. Her figure vanished, but her words remained. "I'm not worth your purity." Daniel stood there, heart heavy but determined. He knew one thing for sure. This was not the end. This was only the first meeting, and somehow it had already changed him. The next morning, Daniel could not forget her words. Her face kept returning to his mind. Those silver eyes filled with shame and that broken whisper, "I'm not worth your purity." It haunted him like an unfinished story. He worked at the docks, lifting crates, tying ropes, scrubbing decks, but every sound of the sea reminded him of her trembling voice. After work, he walked back through the busy market. Hoping to see her again, the merchants shouted. The crowd moved, but she was nowhere. He asked a fruit seller quietly, "The alien woman who was standing here yesterday, do you know where she went?" The seller frowned, then spat to the side. "That one? Don't speak of her. She is cursed, bad blood, everyone knows it." He turned away and refused to say more. Daniel felt a chill. What curse? What had she done to make everyone hate her so deeply? He walked around for hours until he saw her, far at the edge of the square. Sitting on cold stone steps, her head was low, her hands clutching her thin cloak. He walked closer, careful not to startle her. "You're here," he said softly. She looked up, startled, then frowned. "Why did you come back? Did I not warn you?" Daniel sat down a few feet away, not touching, not forcing. "I couldn't just leave things like that. I want to understand." Her eyes filled with fire and pain at once. "Understand? You can't. No human can. No one can carry what I carry." She stood up as if to walk away. But Daniel spoke quickly. "Then tell me," he said, his voice calm but steady. "Let me listen. Maybe I can't change your past, but I can stand with you now." She froze. Her breathing quickened for a moment. It looked like she would run, but then her shoulders slumped, and she sat back down slowly. "My people used me," she whispered. Her words trembled like broken glass. "I was born in a poor district. My father died early. My mother was sick. I was sold to pay debts. Do you understand what that means?" Daniel's chest tightened. He didn't need details. The pain in her voice was enough. She had been treated as less than human, less than living. She continued, her voice bitter. "They called me unclean, used, spoiled, not even worth food. Even when I escaped, I was never free. Everyone sees me as dirty, and when they see me near you, a human, they will spit more venom. They will say you are ruined too." Her hands shook as she gripped her cloak. "That is why I said those words to you. That is why you must leave me alone." Daniel sat in silence. Her confession cut deep. He wanted to shout at the world, to fight the cruel fate she had been given, but he knew shouting would not heal her scars. Instead, he said slowly, "They stole your dignity, not your worth. You are not the shame they put on you." She laughed bitterly, a sound full of tears. "Worth? Look at me, human. Look at the way they treat me. Do you think anyone believes your words?" "Even I don't." Daniel leaned forward, his voice firm. "I believe, and sometimes one voice is enough to break a chain." She looked at him sharply, her silver eyes wet. She wanted to argue, but his tone held no pity, only strength. For the first time, she saw someone who did not see her as broken, but as someone worth standing for. Still, fear gripped her. "If you stay near me, they will hate you too. They will mock you, attack you. Maybe worse." Daniel gave a small smile. "Let them. I'm not afraid." Her lips trembled. "Why? Why would you risk yourself for me?" Daniel answered simply, "Because no one else will. And because I see you." Her throat tightened. She turned her face away, trying to hide her tears. She had heard many lies in her life, but his words felt too honest, too raw. It scared her more than cruelty, because kindness was something she had forgotten. The night grew cold again. The market lights dimmed. People left one by one. Soon only the two of them remained on the steps. She finally whispered, "My name is Lyra." Daniel smiled gently. "Lyra," he repeated. A name worth saying. Lyra closed her eyes, whispering to herself, "Don't believe him. Don't believe him." Yet in her heart, a small spark lit, a spark she thought had died long ago. As Daniel walked home that night, he felt both heavy and determined. He now knew a piece of her past, the weight she carried, and he also knew this was only the beginning. For Lyra, hope was dangerous. For Daniel, giving up on her was impossible. The days passed, and Daniel kept finding reasons to return to the square. He would finish his work at the docks, wipe the sweat from his brow, and walk through the market just to see if Lyra was there. Sometimes she was sitting alone on the steps, sometimes hiding in the alleys, always with her head lowered, always trying to disappear. At first, Lyra told him to stay away. "You will bring trouble on yourself," she warned again and again. But Daniel did not listen. He would sit nearby, share his bread with her, or simply talk about small things, the weather, the ships in the harbor, the smell of the sea. Slowly, she began to answer in short words, not much, but enough for him to know she was listening. One afternoon, as the sun burned high and the square filled with voices, a group of alien merchants spotted them together. They sneered, their laughter sharp like knives. "Well, well," one of them said loudly, pointing at Lyra. "The dirty one has found herself a pet human." The crowd turned their heads. People began whispering. Some chuckled. Others shook their heads in disgust. Lyra's face turned white. She gripped her cloak tightly and tried to shrink away. Daniel stood, his jaw clenched. His fists tightened at his sides. He felt heat rising in his chest. The words cut through the air like poison, but he would not let them stay. "Stop," Daniel said firmly. His voice was calm, but strong enough to silence some of the laughter. "She is not what you say." The merchants laughed harder. "Oh, listen to the human boy. Defending trash, do you not know what she is? Do you not know where she has been?" Lyra pulled at his arm, whispering in panic, "Please, don't fight them." "Don't make it worse," her voice shook. She had lived this shame her whole life and knew how cruel the crowd could be. But Daniel refused to step back. He took a breath and faced them. "I don't care what you think she is not trash, she is someone. And I will not let you spit on her," the crowd gasped. Some muttered in shock, others laughed nervously. No one expected a human boy, poor and ordinary, to speak so boldly against merchants who held power in the square. One of the merchants stepped forward. His eyes narrowed. "You defend her now, but soon you will be shunned too. Human or not, you will carry her filth. Do you want to share her fate?" Daniel's voice grew louder. "If her fate is to be hated, then let me be hated too. At least I will not stand silent while you destroy her with your words." Lyra's heart pounded. Her hands trembled as she tried to stop him. "Daniel, please. They will turn everyone against you." But Daniel turned to her, his eyes steady. "Then let them, I'm not afraid." The merchant sneered, one spitting on the ground near Lyra's feet. "Foolish human, you waste your breath. She will drag you down with her." They walked off, still laughing, but the crowd was left whispering, staring at Daniel as if he had broken an unspoken law. Lyra pulled her hood low, her whole body shaking. "Why? Why would you do that?" she asked, her voice breaking. Daniel knelt beside her, his anger softening into something gentler. "Because I see you, Lyra. Not the lies they say, not the shame they throw. I see the person you are." Her breath caught. She wanted to believe, but fear was stronger. "You don't understand. If you keep doing this, you will suffer too." Daniel gave a small smile. "Maybe, but I'd rather suffer for the truth than live in silence with a lie." Her eyes filled with tears. She turned her face away, afraid to let him see, afraid that if she believed him, it would all vanish like smoke that night. The square was still buzzing with gossip. Word spread quickly. A human had defended the worthless alien woman. Some called him foolish, others whispered he was cursed. But Daniel did not care. He returned home tired but with fire in his heart. He knew he had made enemies, but he also knew he had given Lyra something no one else had ever given her. Defense. The next day when he came back, Lyra was waiting at the steps for the first time. She did not hide. She looked at him, her eyes wet but steady. "You shouldn't have done that, but—" "Thank you," Daniel nodded. "You don't need to thank me, Lyra. You deserve more than their hate." For a moment the world felt different. The shame that clung to her like chains seemed to loosen, even if only slightly. But in the shadows, people still watched. Whispers still spread. Hatred still grew. And Daniel knew this was only the beginning of the fight. Lyra's past weighed on her shoulders like iron. But now she carried something else too. The memory of a human's defiance. A defiance that refused to let her be unseen. Night had fallen heavy over the city. The markets were silent, lanterns burned low, and the streets smelled of smoke and salt from the harbor. Daniel walked slowly toward the square, wondering if Lyra would be there. He had not seen her since the merchants mocked them both, and his heart was restless. He found her sitting near the ruins at the edge of the city. Far from the noise, she was curled in a corner, her cloak wrapped around her like a shield. Her eyes lifted when she saw him, but instead of anger, there was something else. Weariness. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Every time you stand near me, you bring danger to yourself." Daniel sat a few feet away, calm but steady. "I don't care about danger. I care about you." Her lips trembled. She hugged her knees tighter. "Why? Why would a human care for something broken?" Daniel leaned forward. "You are not broken, Lyra. You are hurt. But hurt is not the same as worthless." Her eyes shone. "Silver like wet glass. You don't know. You think I am only poor, only lost, but you don't know the truth." Daniel's chest tightened. He could hear the weight in her words, heavy like chains. "Then tell me," he said softly. "Tell me the truth." For a long time she said nothing. The wind rustled the broken walls around them. The moon lit her face pale and thin. Finally she spoke, her voice trembling. "When I was 15, my family sold me," she whispered. Her hands clutched her cloak as if holding herself together. They said it was for survival. They said one daughter could feed the rest. They sold me to men who called me property. They used me until I no longer felt alive. Daniel's throat went dry. His fists clenched. He wanted to stop her pain, to tear apart the world that had done this, but he kept silent, letting her speak. They branded me, she continued, her voice sharp with memory. Burned my skin so everyone would know I was no longer pure, no longer worthy. And when I escaped, I thought I was free. But I was wrong. Wherever I go, people see the mark. They whisper, they laugh. They remind me I am dirt. Her cloak slipped slightly, and Daniel saw faint scars across her wrist, long and deep. Scars that told a story of chains, of nights of hopelessness. Lyra's voice cracked as she looked at him. That is why I stepped back. That is why I told you. I'm not worth your purity, because I am not. Daniel, I lost everything that made me clean. I am nothing but a scar walking in the shape of a woman. Tears slid down her cheeks, and she turned her face away, ashamed to let him see her brokenness. Daniel's heart burned. He wanted to cry with her. He wanted to scream at the cruelty of her world. But instead he whispered gently, Lyra, you did not lose yourself. They stole from you, they tried to crush you, but you are still here. That means you are stronger than all of them. She shook her head violently. No, you don't understand. In my people's eyes, purity is everything. Without it, you are nothing. They look at me and see filth, and if you stand with me, they will look at you the same. Daniel moved closer, his voice steady. Let them. I don't measure worth by their laws. I don't care about what they call purity. What I see is someone who survived. Someone who deserves more than chains and scars. Her breath caught. Her tears fell faster. She pressed her face into her knees. Don't say that, Daniel. Don't make me believe hope is dangerous. I can't carry it again. Daniel placed his hand on the stone between them, not touching her but close. Then let me carry it for you. Lyra lifted her head slowly, her silver eyes wide with disbelief. No one had ever spoken like this to her. No one had looked at her without disgust or pity. For the first time in years, someone saw her as more than her past. The silence between them was heavy but different now. Not shameful but fragile, filled with a small, trembling spark. Lyra whispered, If they hear you speak like this, they will destroy you. Daniel gave a small smile. Then let them try, because I won't leave you, not now. Not ever. The moonlight touched her face, and though her tears still fell, there was something new in her expression, not just pain, but the faintest trace of hope. For the first time, she whispered his name, not with fear, but with a broken kind of trust. Daniel. And Daniel knew the secret she had carried all her life was now between them. It had shattered his heart, but it also made his resolve unshakable. He would not walk away. He could not walk away. The night after Lyra revealed her truth, Daniel could not sleep. He lay awake on his small bed, staring at the cracked ceiling of his little room. Her words echoed again and again. I'm not worth your purity. And I lost everything that made me clean. Every word cut him. Not because he believed her, but because she believed it so deeply. He had seen pain before, men injured at the docks, children hungry in the alleys. But her wounds were not on her skin alone. They lived in her heart. They had chained her soul by morning. Daniel knew he had to give her an answer. Not just words, not silence, but something that would break the lie she had been forced to carry. He found her at the ruins again, sitting where the broken walls met the stone steps. Her cloak was pulled tight, her eyes dull as if she had not slept either. You came back, she whispered, almost surprised. Daniel nodded. I told you I would. Her lips pressed into a thin line. You should have stayed away. You know what I am now. Daniel stepped closer, his eyes steady. Yes, I know, and I know this too. You are not what they called you. You are not what they did to you. Lyra shook her head bitterly. You don't understand. In my people's eyes, I am ruined. They marked me forever. Even if I wash, even if I hide, I will never be pure again. Daniel sat down across from her, close enough for her to see he meant every word. Then their eyes are blind. Purity is not something they can burn off your skin. Purity is not something they can steal with cruelty. You are not ruined, Lyra. You are a survivor. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled as they clutched her cloak tighter. Don't, Daniel, don't say things like that. They sound kind, but kindness always fades. Hope fades too, and when it fades, it hurts more than chains. Daniel leaned forward, his voice firm but gentle. I won't fade, Lyra. I won't run. I don't care about what others think of you. I care about who you are when you sit here in front of me." Her silver eyes widened. They shimmered with fear, but also with something else, something fragile. Almost desperate. "You will regret this," she whispered. "If you stand with me, you will lose respect, work, even safety. Do you want to live like an outcast too?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "If being an outcast means standing with you, then yes, I want that. Because your worth is greater than their approval." Lyra's chest rose sharply as if she had forgotten to breathe. Tears filled her eyes and she turned away. "No one has ever spoken like this to me, not once. They told me I was dirt. They told me I was nothing." Daniel's voice softened. "Then let me be the first to tell you the truth. You are not dirt, you are not nothing, you are Lyra. And that is enough." Her hands covered her face, muffling a sob. She shook as though his words had broken something heavy inside her. For years she had built walls to protect her heart, walls of shame, walls of silence, and now those walls cracked under the weight of a human boy's faith. Daniel did not reach out to touch her. He knew she was not ready. Instead, he let his words stand between them like a shield. After a long silence, Lyra lowered her hands, her face wet with tears. "You are foolish, Daniel, so foolish, but your foolishness feels warmer than all their wisdom." He smiled faintly. "Then let me stay foolish." She let out a broken laugh, one that was more tears than joy, still for the first time. Her laughter did not sound bitter. It sounded alive. As the day stretched, people passed by. Some saw them and muttered. Shaking their heads, a few spat on the ground. But Daniel did not flinch. Every insult thrown only made his resolve stronger. Lyra noticed it too. She whispered, "Do you not feel shame? Sitting here with me while they all stare?" Daniel looked at her with calm eyes. "No. I feel proud." Her lips trembled. She could not answer. She could not understand how someone could choose pride where she only felt disgrace. Yet in that moment, a small spark lit inside her heart, faint but real. When the sun began to set, Daniel stood. "Come with me." Lyra stiffened, fear flashing across her face. "Where?" "Nowhere far," he said gently. "Just to see the harbor." To see the sea, she hesitated. The thought of walking in open light, of being seen beside him, terrified her. Yet something in his voice gave her strength. Slowly she rose to her feet. They walked side by side. People stared, some laughed, some scowled. But Daniel never slowed. His presence was like a wall against the world, and Lyra, though trembling, felt for the first time that she was not completely alone. When they reached the harbor, the waves crashed against the docks. The sunset painted the sky in fire and gold. Lyra stood frozen, staring at the water as if seeing it for the first time. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Daniel looked at her, "Not the sea." "Yes, it is," she turned to him, caught by the weight of his gaze, and for a moment, she almost believed his words. She almost believed she was more than scars, more than shame. For the first time in years, Lyra felt something dangerous but sweet, hope. The days that followed were not peaceful. Word had spread through the city like fire in dry grass. People whispered in markets, in taverns, even in the alleys. "The human boy defends her," they said. "He sits with the cursed one. He calls her worth something." Daniel felt the eyes everywhere he went. Some were filled with pity, others with anger. A few even spat as he passed. But he did not bow his head. He carried himself tall. Not for himself, but for Lyra. Lyra, however, felt the weight heavier than ever. She kept telling him, "You must leave me, Daniel. This is not your fight. They will hurt you because of me." But Daniel only shook his head. "Then let them. I would rather suffer with you than live comfortably without you." One evening, the tension finally broke. Daniel and Lyra were sitting near the square, sharing bread he had brought when a group of aliens gathered. Their eyes burned with anger, their voices sharp. "There he is," one shouted. "The human who shames himself by sitting with filth?" Another spat. "Do you not fear the curse, boy? She is marked, she is unclean, and now you are too." The crowd thickened. People came to watch, some shouted insults, some laughed cruelly. Lyra pulled her cloak tighter, trembling. "Please, Daniel, let's go," she whispered. But Daniel did not move. He stood slowly, facing the angry crowd, his voice carried steady and clear. "I am not ashamed. I will not leave her. You can mock me, curse me, hate me, but you will not silence me." The crowd roared with laughter. Some jeered. "He has lost his mind. A human boy protecting trash. He will regret this." A merchant stepped forward, tall and proud. You disgrace your own kind, boy. Do you not see she is nothing? Do you not see she is ruined? Daniel's fists clenched, his heart thundered. He felt Lyra's hand tug weakly at his sleeve, begging him not to speak, but he could not stay silent. His voice rose loud enough for all to hear. You are wrong, she is not nothing. She is not ruined. She is stronger than any of you. You call her filth, but I call her brave. She survived what none of you could endure. The crowd fell into shocked silence for a moment. No one had ever heard a human speak so boldly against them. The merchant snarled, You dare compare her to us? You dare say she is worth more than those who are pure? Daniel stepped forward, his eyes blazing. Yes, I dare. Purity is not in skin or scars or marks. Purity is in the heart. And her heart is worth more than all of yours put together. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some looked away, uncomfortable. Others shouted with fury, Blasphemy! Fool! Outcast! Lyra covered her face, tears spilling from her eyes. Never had anyone spoken such words for her. Never had anyone risked so much to call her worthy. But Daniel did not stop. He raised his voice higher. You think your hatred gives you power. You think her scars make her less. But I see truth, she is not less, she is more. She is proof that cruelty cannot kill the spirit. And if you think I will abandon her, you are wrong. I will stand with her until the end. The crowd broke into chaos. Some shouted angrily, some threw small stones. One hit Daniel's shoulder, but he did not flinch. He stood tall like an unshaken tree. Guards finally arrived, pushing the crowd back. Their leader scowled at Daniel. Go home, human. Do not bring this trouble again, or we will deal with you. Daniel looked at him squarely. Do what you want, but I will not abandon her. The guards growled, but did not strike. They ordered the crowd to disperse. Slowly, with mutters and curses, the people left, though their eyes promised more trouble later. When silence returned, Lyra fell to her knees, shaking. Her tears wet the stone. Why, Daniel? Why do you keep doing this? You will destroy yourself. Daniel knelt beside her, his hand hovering close but not touching. Because you are worth it, Lyra. More worth than all their voices. And nothing they say will change my answer. Her heart pounded. She wanted to argue, but his words were like fire melting the chains inside her. For the first time she saw not just kindness in his eyes, but unshakable strength that night. As they sat together under the dim glow of lanterns, Lyra whispered, Maybe I don't have to be nothing anymore, maybe. Because of you. Daniel smiled softly. Not because of me, Lyra. Because you have always been something, I only reminded you. The night air carried their words, and though the city still burned with whispers and hatred, between the two of them a different truth had been born. A truth no crowd could erase. The trial of society had come, and Daniel had chosen his side. He had chosen her. The city never forgot the night Daniel stood against the crowd. Whispers followed him everywhere. Some called him brave, others foolish. Many called him cursed. Work became harder. Merchants refused to hire him. Families told their children not to speak to him. But Daniel did not regret. Every insult, every closed door, was worth the sight of Lyra no longer hiding her face. She still carried scars. She still trembled at the shadows. But now she walked beside him one morning. As the sun rose over the harbor, Daniel found her waiting near the docks. The sea wind tangled her dark hair and her silver eyes caught the light. She looked fragile and strong at the same time. I should leave, she whispered. If I stay, they will destroy you. You have already lost so much because of me. Daniel shook his head. No, Lyra, if you go, I lose everything. Not because of their hate, but because you are my choice. I choose you. Her lips parted in shock. She had heard men use her name like a curse, but never as a promise. Tears burned her eyes. She stepped back out of fear. But I told you. I am not worth your purity. Daniel moved closer, steady as stone. Then listen, Lyra. Purity is not what they took from you. It is not what they burned onto your skin. Purity is in how you endure, in how you keep breathing when the world tries to kill you. And that makes you more pure than anyone I've ever met. Her knees weakened. She covered her mouth with trembling hands. His words struck deeper than chains, deeper than scars. Daniel, she whispered, her voice breaking. How can you see me this way? He smiled faintly. Because I see with my heart. Not with their eyes. For a long time she said nothing. Only the sound of waves filled the silence. Finally she lowered her hands and whispered. Then maybe I can start again. Daniel held out his hand. Open and steady. Then start with me, slowly. Painfully she reached out, Her fingers brushed his palm like a frightened child touching fire, and then she held it, weak at first, then firmer for the first time. Lyra allowed herself to be touched without fear. That moment was small, but it felt like a mountain moved. The days after were still hard. Society did not suddenly accept her. People still mocked, still whispered, still spat. But Lyra no longer walked with her head down. She had Daniel's hand in hers, and that gave her courage. They moved from the city to the edge of the coast. Daniel found small work with fishermen, and Lyra helped mend nets with quiet skill. Some avoided them, some cursed them. But a few, just a few, saw them differently. They saw a human boy and a broken alien girl standing side by side, and they wondered if maybe the world was wrong about her. One evening, when the sun painted the water gold, Lyra sat beside Daniel on the rocks. Her cloak slipped from her shoulders, exposing faint scars on her arms. Normally, she would have hidden them instantly, but this time she didn't. She let the wind touch them. Daniel noticed but said nothing. He only smiled gently. Lyra whispered, "For years I hated my reflection. For years I thought I was nothing. But now when I see myself, I don't see only scars. I see someone who survived. Someone who was chosen. By you." Daniel turned to her, his eyes soft but strong. "You were never nothing, Lyra. You were only waiting for someone to remind you of your worth." Her silver eyes glistened. She leaned her head against his shoulder, whispering, "Then maybe I am worth something." After all, the night grew quiet, stars appeared above them, and the sea stretched wide. For Lyra, it was no longer just endless darkness. For the first time in years, she felt a future waiting. The world still judged, still mocked, still hated, but she no longer cared. Because she had found one human who saw her not as dirt, not as scars, not as ruined, but as Lyra. And that was enough. As the waves crashed gently, Daniel whispered into the night, "This is not the end, Lyra. This is only the beginning." And she, with tears on her cheeks but hope in her heart, believed him. It was truly a new beginning.